Yo, what is up guys? It's your boy Ruhan checking in. So in this video, I will be talking about your Valorant settings. So first thing you want to do when you open Valorant is instead of clicking play and clicking one of these game modes, I would recommend clicking practice and hopping into the range. So the range is basically your best friend because everyone comes in the range and practices, and the range improves a lot of people because you can come in here, improve your aim, your mechanics, and things like that. So when you hop into the range, first thing you will see is a list of characters. Right now the characters don't matter, so you can pick anyone. And instead of like buying a gun and starting to shoot, you click escape and you pull up your settings tab. And now I'm going to tell you about the most important settings. So you want to start off with enemy highlight color. By default it's red, and I'll show you what difference it makes. So if I click start here, you can see the enemies right here are highlighted in red, and red honestly is kind of like a dull color, so your enemies don't pop out much. So what I would recommend is changing it to either purple or yellow, because that's when your enemies pop out more, and then you'll be able to react to them faster and probably even see them better. Next thing, and probably your most important setting in the entire game, is your sensitivity. Now sensitivity is basically how fast you move your crosshair, and I play on a 0.42 sense with 800 DPI. So you want to keep on, increasing it or decreasing it depending on how fast or how slow you want your sensitivity. And a good way to measure if you have a good sensitivity or not is you come out here and then you flick to the bot. Kind of like flick to the bot like that. Flick to the bot like that. And then if you flick far away from the bot, that means your sense is too high. But if you flick far less than the bot, that means your sense is too low. So you want to keep playing around until you find something that you like, and then you have to stick with that sense throughout. Try not to, once you find a good sense, try not to change it around too much and get used to that. And if you do that, you will improve as a player. Now next thing is your map settings, and the only important one here is changing your keep player centered, turning that off. What that's gonna do is it's gonna show your entire map instead of the part that you're just on, which is very helpful at times. And the other, I'd say, kind of important setting is your first person handedness. So for this one, it basically is if you like your gun on your left side or your right side. I personally like it on the right, but I know a lot of people who like it on the left. These settings are, not as important, and you can come around, play with them. They're very subjective. Just keep turning them on or off, see what happens, and if you like them or not. The next most important things are your controls. Now your controls are basically your buttons and what you press to make your character do what they want. And the most important thing you do with your buttons are of course moving, and then your abilities right here. And so for some people, pressing buttons like C and X are kind of difficult. So if you are that person, then you might want to change your keybind to something that is easily pressed, like maybe a button on your mouse, or like something that's closer to WASD, because that's where your fingers are going to be most of the time. And next thing we have is your crosshair. The default crosshair that you start off with is absolute garbage. One general rule of thumb with crosshair is you want movement error and firing error to be off, because if you have it on, let me show you. So like when I start shooting, like look, my crosshair just going big and small as I shoot, and it basically is distracting, and it doesn't really help at all. So it's better to keep it off. And then these numbers here are basically how big or how small you want your crosshair to be. I personally play a 1422. You can come around and mess with this and see the perfect crosshair and find the perfect crosshair for yourself. So those were the most important settings that I talked about. And first thing you want to do before you start playing is you want to come around and mess with your settings and get comfortable with the game. And now with the next video, we'll talk about it. Catch y'all later.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.